Coming up.
There is a lot of odd things going on with this Liberal government, so I'll just leave that there. To Mr. Nijar, we've heard before about them GC strategies falsifying resumes, falsifying information, and providing that information to the government. Can you be sure that your information was correctly provided to the government?
Thank you for your question. So I cannot speak to the information that GC Strategy shared to the government. We provided the names and the experience levels and the security clearance levels of the individuals that were going to be on the project.
And in my remaining time, I am going to move a motion that the committee invite Mr. Imraan Bashir, KPMG's National Public Sector Cyber Lead, to appear for no less than 2 hours on the committee's ongoing ArriveCan study, and that the witness be scheduled to appear within 7 days of the adoption of this motion. This motion has been shared with the clerk, and I believe she could will send it out.
I'm in a few. I see a couple of hands going up. I'm going to suspend the meeting just for 3 minutes. I'll just explain what's going on here. So we have a motion now that we move right into this motion. It is a matter related to these committee hearings. Witnesses, you're welcome to. I'm going to suspend for 3 minutes, then we'll get going in. This can either be wrapped up quickly or something that takes a little bit of time. For now, I'm going to ask.
I just want to clarify something.
Miss, just Khalid, a second. I'll hear you in a second. You get a point of order. Just 1 second. I'm going to suspend now. Please get up.
Why are you suspending, Chair? I have a point of clarification, just because I think it would
because
impact
as a practice, Ms. Khalid, the motion is with the clerk. It will be sent out very shortly, so it's going to be a 3-minute suspension. I'm going to come right back, and I just want to give our witnesses a chance to stand up and just explain what's going on. I'll come right back. So is that your concern, Ms. Khalid, or is there something else you wish to ask?
No, Chair. It was something else that I wish to ask. I don't know why you always talk down to me, Chair. It's not nice.
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
Call the meeting back into order. I see Miss. First of all, just the speaking list. I'll turn the floor over to you in 1 moment. But first, I'll have Miss Khalid, then Miss Shanahan, and I believe Madame Secretary. Wait, okay. Miss Khalid, you have the floor. And again, I do want to apologize. We felt I was speaking over you. That was not my intention. I just heard you in my earpiece, and as I was speaking to the witnesses, and just wanted to wrap things up with them. So the floor is yours. And just for members that are wondering, we have ample resources here to consider this motion. So Miss Khalid, the floor is yours.
Sorry, Chair, my hand is lowered. Miss Shanahan is next.
Pardon me, Miss Khalid. Miss Khalid, do you want to be put on a later moment, or if you do, I'll look for your hand. But so right now I have Miss Shanahan, then Madame Secretary. Miss Shanahan, over to you, please.
Well, thank you, Chair. And I will speak to my private member's motion at a later time. But to this, I don't understand the purpose of this motion. And in fact, I'd like you to consider indeed that it is redundant in view of yesterday's motion, in which we adopted the motion that a witness list submission with the deadline set by yourself, Chair, with the consent of the committee, be set. And indeed, we received an email from you and the clerk yesterday that invited us to submit our witnesses prior to April 10th. Which is ample time for all parties. So I do appreciate that for us to be able to submit witnesses in due course. So I really don't understand the purpose of this motion. And indeed, I would ask the chair to provide us with justification why this should not be considered redundant.
I'm going to stay to this debate, but I will respond briefly, Ms. Shanahan, because you do ask what kind of the conduct of business. While yesterday's motion certainly establishes some or reestablishes some protocols for witnesses, I don't believe in any way it deviates from the rights of members to bring business before this committee. Obviously, if this motion passes, I would take that as a fulfillment of the desire of a majority of the committee members to proceed, which I think is in keeping with the spirit of yesterday's motion. So I don't believe yesterday's motion, nor do I think it would be lawful for it to cut off avenues that members have to bring business before this committee. So on that, I will attempt to stay out of this debate and direct it.
Would support this motion, but yes, Ms. Shanahan, you have raised a point. We could simply add this person to the list of witnesses. But moreover, I have a question. When we submit a witness list to the subcommittee, and they're the ones that, does the subcommittee have to accept each witness? So potentially, if the subcommittee doesn't agree with inviting this witness, Mr. Bashir won't be invited. So that's why Mr. Nader has gone ahead and tabled this motion to ensure that this witness is part and parcel of the list. Did I understand the situation, Mr. Nader? And is that how you understood the motion, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, very clearly. I mean, this is a motion that we want to see this individual testify. We want to ensure that it happens, and it happens relatively expeditiously.
I would add that obviously when we discuss witnesses in subcommittee, that is a process where there, as you all know, without getting into the details because meetings are in camera, there's give and take amongst members. Given the formality of yesterday's motion, where I see we now have kind of an allotment per party, we haven't discussed this yet, but I see that as, let's say we agree to a meeting, and the government members have so many witnesses. If they don't provide witnesses, the meeting will still go ahead. We can't have a situation where if someone doesn't provide a witness, a meeting would stop. Today's motion I see is entirely appropriate given the standing orders that it will supersede anything. If this committee decides to hear from this witness, the clerk will immediately, without my direction, move to invite that individual.
That each party have the opportunity to invite witnesses, which you have with the clerk have already provided us the opportunity to do in this scope with ample lead time to April 10th. What I'm concerned about in this motion that is before us today is that it constricts the time to within 7 days. We already have a work plan, and we discussed yesterday how important it is for all members to have an established work plan so we can plan our own work, so we can instruct our staff and do research and prepare ourselves adequately for each meeting. And now it looks like we're going to have an extra meeting to accommodate this request when, and indeed, it could be requested, it could be accommodated very easily within the normal practice used by other committees and which was adopted yesterday in yesterday's motion. So, Chair, to you, please tell us what this would mean for our work plan schedule, because we were very pleased to receive that work plan yesterday at 8:43.
Ms. Shanahan, it's not uncommon for committees throughout this building to have all kinds of schedules and work plans, but if a motion comes up and it is passed, that obviously would change a work plan that was set, and so that's the reality of this in any motion. I don't think I certainly don't believe that yesterday's motion is suggesting that members from the various political parties can't bring forward motions for committees, or this committee in particular, to study because it is thought to be an issue. I think it would set a very dangerous precedent. As chair, if this motion passes, I will view it as direction from the committee. Again, I don't believe yesterday's motion ever envisioned that consensus mean unanimity on anything, just an ability to structure witnesses from all the political parties.
I'd really seek your advice, Chair, on how you want to do this properly, considering that we do have a draft agenda now. This is an additional meeting request. We have only a few days. This motion demands 7 days of the adoption of the motion. Would this mean that whatever work you've done to summon witnesses for our ArriveCan meeting, this would join that that list of witnesses for next week, or would this mean we would have to postpone that the meeting you intended to have for ArriveCan in reserve for next week? Postponed. Because
I try to be conscientious of the clerk's ability to bring forward witnesses as quickly as possible. I don't have a complete answer for you, Mr. Desjardins. Again, you're asking, there's a lot of, I don't want to presuppose the outcome of this meeting, but I'll try to answer your question. Should it pass, one option I would give this witness would be to join the Tuesday meeting. The invitations are well on the way. I believe we're just waiting for the paperwork before the notice is sent, but that would be one option. It would not be my intention, Mr. Desjardins, to upend the Thursday meeting on the Indigenous issue. This motion would probably force me to try to find another time. Having said that as well, the committee has always been gracious with both the clerk and the chair that if 7 days does not work for the witness, that I have flexibility to find another time. Obviously, the Tuesday deadline could be too tight for this witness, and if that was the case, I would expect that and then find another time. I would take the 7 days as an indication this is pressing, but given the work that we have, given the schedule, given the resource availability for Parliament, it might fall outside the 7 days. I would view that as a strong indication. I would certainly try to do it, but the committee has granted me leeway in the past to schedule meetings outside 7 days should there be a resource challenge or a witness challenge. Does that help, Mr. Desjardins? All right.
It does help.
So just to answer Mr. Desjardins' question, I had the work plan right in front of me. So the witnesses invited are Amazon Web Services, Inc., Microsoft, Inc., BDO Canada, LLP, for the next meeting for the 9th of April. From trying to resolve this in as quick of a time as possible, I mean, one option would be to amend the motion to delete reference to when those witnesses would be invited. And then the second is that perhaps we can leave this motion be and perhaps pick it up again at the subcommittee meeting where members can actually just go in and have that discussion and answer any of the questions that they need to have answered in order to move forward. And there's not really that much of a time difference from today till the subcommittee meeting. And I think it's better that we proceed when we understand fully what it is that we're doing rather than passing motions that we're not really sure how they would impact the rest of our work plan. And as you said, Chair, there's been a lot of work that's already been done by yourself and by the clerk in inviting witnesses. So it doesn't really make sense, I think, for us to rush through this. I think in principle we all agree that these witnesses perhaps should be invited. I do think that this is a question of timing, and that should be better addressed through the subcommittee as opposed to putting it in a motion. I think that we're all on the same page here in terms of where we want to go with this study, and it is part of a study. It's not a one-off, and that's why I think that this issue is better addressed within the subcommittee and the list of witnesses as opposed to a standalone motion.
Let me just respond to some of your points. So first of all, there is no subcommittee meeting scheduled for next week at this point. What it is that Ms. Yip rightly asked that I return to the full committee with a subcommittee report, which is at the end of the meeting time on Tuesday. That time right now is very short because I was expecting more of a here's where the subcommittee meeting is at. I could endeavor to find time, but again, that's a question of House resources. Ms. Clede, I am not in a position to withdraw the report. I think you understand that, but I hear more of a sentiment that I think is directed to the report, the motion mover, who will consider that. And your third point was, again, you expressed it. If you want to either consult with the mover or consider an amendment, because you mentioned either changing the date, if that was to find consensus, that might be a possibility. I won't speak to it, but I will just flag that is certainly within your right. So let me move on here. Yes, I was going to turn to Mr. Nader, and then Ms. Clede, why don't I come back to you if that's okay? Is it okay, Mr. Nader? Ms. Shannon and then Ms. Khalid. You have the floor, Mr. Nader.
Thank you, Chair. In an effort to move this along, and perhaps I could seek unanimous consent. Obviously, I can't amend my own motion, but I would seek the unanimous consent of the committee to pass the motion and just take out the within 7 days and leave it to you, Chair, to schedule it at. So I would seek unanimous consent to pass the motion, removing the 7 days requirement, and allow you to schedule it.
Okay, I can't call it. There's still speakers, but I hear you on.
I'm asking for unanimous consent.
Oh, okay. Is there unanimous consent to eliminate the time and pass the motion calling this individual in at a future meeting? Any opposition? I am hearing none. I'm going to, just because we're virtual, I'm going to be sure here. All right, I deem the motion passed then with the removal of the 7 days. Questions are now moot. Ms. Shannon, do you have anything? Your hand is still up. I will recognize you, but I do want to get back to the witnesses. We have about 7 minutes with them. But Ms. Shannon, do you have anything to say?
Chair, I move to do now adjourn.
All right. Well, exactly. I recognized her. Thank you, clerk. Please call a roll call. Should we just adjourn on division? Or go ahead, clerk.
Shall the motion of Ms. Shanahan carry? Ms. Bradford?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Mr. Casey,
Yes.
we're looking. Yes, thank you.
Ms. Khalid?
Yes.
Ms. Shanahan?
Yes.
Mr. Aldag?
Yes.
Mr. Nader?
No.
Mr. Brock?
No.
Mr. Vierson?
No.
Madame Saint-Clair de Gagné?
Non.
Mr. Desjardins?
Yes.
I want to thank the witnesses very much for coming in today. If you have any questions, the analysts will be in touch about documents. And I appreciate you coming today. Your testimony was helpful for this committee work, and we'll be in touch with next steps. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.